Hello again. I'm Carlos Tanner, and welcome to episode 8 of this 10 episode series on preparation, participation, and integration. It's round 2 of our lessons from Ayahuasca series. Thank you so much for joining us again. I hope that you found the first 7 episodes beneficial. I hope that you watched them. I really appreciate anyone that sent me any feedback or made a comment. I encourage you to do that for this episode as well. In the last one we were talking about mindset, really about a lot of rest and relaxation and recovery, that R&R type of approach, which would be encouraged and recommended in those first stages of the integration process. I want to slightly shift the R&R to this episode's topic, which is RMR, which I use to stand for Referential Memory Replacement. I think I mentioned earlier in an earlier episode how I feel that memories are really a very important part, if not the most important part, of how we operate, because it is referential memories that serve to influence our perceptions and our interpretations and ultimately decide the story that we tell, because our stories are really the collection of memories that we choose to tell in describing ourselves and the life that we're living. So referential memories to me are those memories that we either consciously or unconsciously go to as support or to influence the way that we perceive and interpret our current experiences. And oftentimes those are very helpful. The learning process, for example, is a continuous progression of referential memories that bring us to a deeper and deeper understanding and skill set whenever we're learning something. But unfortunately, they can work against us at times. And so when we're going through a deep healing process, hopefully we are having experiences that ultimately turn into memories of those experiences that are providing us with new ways of understanding, new ways of perceiving, new ways of telling our story because of the changes in our perceptions and interpretations to who we are and our role in the world that we're living. And that's why I think it's very important to keep a record of those changes, of those insights, of those experiences, because that will serve as the collection of memories that you now want to refer to. Obviously, if you have an experience that brings you to an insight that opens the door for greater amounts of self-love, as an example, that memory will be very, very important. Now, that one experience, which ultimately turns into one memory, might be up against 1,000 memories or a collection of memories that might be lending itself to a negative influence on your life or on your level of self-love. So you're kind of up against something that might be more likely to overtake the referential memory that you want to be referring to, which is this new memory that brings you to a greater sense of self-love, as an example. And so using the journal and the record of that memory right off the bat is going to be able to allow you to reinforce a positive referential memory such that you replace a negative referential memory. Now, sometimes that happens, I guess there are 2 different ways that can happen. Sometimes that happens by changing the interpretation of a memory that's already a referential memory. For me, that was how I would describe my referential memories that had led me to believe that I was unworthy of love, that I was a burden on others, that my very existence had brought about problems in the people's lives that I cared most about. And it was a reinterpretation of those same memories that allowed me to liberate myself from those false beliefs, which were really based on misinterpretation. So oftentimes by correcting misinterpretations or bringing more truth into the light of our memories, we can replace a referential memory in the sense that we don't remember it the same way. Now, other times, the referential memory is not changed in our understanding or interpretation of it, but we have a new memory that occurs that overrides it. Now, we might have a memory where during our healing experience, we came into this sense of divine light in our lives or emanating from our own hearts or souls. And that memory could be very, very powerful and profound, that left a lasting mark of transformation in our lives. So obviously, like by recording that, we give ourselves the best chance to continue to remember it because we can refer to it. We can go back and read our journals, but that would be a case where the memory replacement, the referential memory replacement, would be with a separate memory, a new memory or a different memory than the one that we might have commonly been referring to. Either way, I think that the process works in a very similar fashion. And the key point is that we want to be able to use the records that we have of those insights and those experiences or memories such that we can reinforce them and then increase the number so that we're much more likely, or increasing the likelihood that we will refer to those memories in our future experiences. So I hope all of that made sense as a framework, but really what it comes down to is referring to your journal. Now that starts very simply with reading it. Now perhaps if you are on an ayahuasca retreat, that was a long block of time, relatively speaking, so maybe a week long or 2 weeks or even up to 3 or 4 or even 8 weeks. But journal entries over a period of time. I think it's a great idea. When you're in your integration process, you are ultimately trying to integrate the experiences and really the memories of the healing experience and those transformations and changes, to read the entirety of the journal entries of that experience. And I suggest doing that in a ceremonial way, in the sense that you want to plan it out, choose a day that you're going to block out the time that you think that it would be adequate to be able to read through it, as well as to give yourself some time to process afterward. Put it on your calendar, make sure that you don't have anything that might conflict in that time period, and really like program it out, how you're going to do it, where you'll be, maybe even thinking about having certain foods or drink available for you during that time, the comfort of the space that you'll be in, all of those factors, like to really give some thought to it. And that lends itself to the specialness, but really allows yourself to go deeper into not just reading it, kind of squeezing it in here or there, and maybe just reading the words that enter into your mind, but wanting to go deeper so that you can not just read it on a mental level, but really read it so that it sinks in to reviving those same emotions and sensations that were also a part of the experience that you're recording in your journal. And again, that might be something that you recorded with an audio or recorded with video. Either way, you're going to allow yourself to experience the entirety of all those records or recordings, whether they be written, audio, or video, and to have that be done in a sacred way or in a well thought out and mindful way, so that you give yourself the chance to have a truly holistic experience or full body, full soul experience when you go to refer to them. And then once that occurs, you might automatically feel a little bit of refreshment of those energies. And so that can be evidence of the power or the helpfulness and benefit that could be achieved through this. Now, by having that record, you can go to it all the time. If it's audio, you can listen to that every day, maybe as a morning practice or an evening bedtime routine, or while you're driving to work, something like that. You can begin to incorporate that. You could also obviously read the journal at particular times in a similar fashion. But by reading it, you're creating another memory that's based on the same revelation or insights or lessons. So each time that you go back to your journal, and I'll just keep referring to it as journal from now on, even though it might mean audio or video, you're going to reinforce that memory. You're going to keep it fresh in your mind, in the sense that you're going to put it into the forefront of your consciousness. Now, maybe you've already experienced that. I think that we all kind of have, where maybe you literally watch a video or watch something on TV, or you're reading something, and maybe it is something from your own life. And then shortly after that, you find yourself in an interaction and you bring that up. You bring it up into your mind. Maybe you bring it up, to express, but it clearly has a greater influence because it's fresh in your mind. So you can use the journal to intentionally freshen your mind with the memories that you want to have as referential memories. So you're intentionally bringing into your mind the memories that you want to be replacing your old referential memories. Now, then there's another level to that where you can then transcribe what you may have handwritten in your journal into a digital document like a Google Doc or a Word document. By doing that, of course, you're going to need to read it again. That doesn't necessarily have to be done in any sacred or ceremonial way. It can be done as an ongoing process when you do have time. But you will be reading and then writing. So again, another form of strengthening those memories. And then along the way, you'll almost automatically be correcting grammar, spelling, things of that nature, but also correcting the memory. You'll be adding to it, increasing the level of detail, perhaps rewriting it in a way that's more understandable now that you're processing it or have the time for reflection. So that process then creates this project-based integration effort where you're doing something, going back to it each day, developing it, and ultimately expanding on those memories by adding those further details and by changing the layout of the platform of expression, even if it's just from written to digital. And all of those are, again, further reinforcements and the freshening of those memories into the forefront of your consciousness, such that you increase the likelihood that they have a positive influence, or the influence that you're desiring, on your perceptions and interpretations as you move forward in your current life. So that to me is a really wonderful tool to use, that referential memory replacement based off of your records of memories. You want to be reading them. Each time you're reading them, you're creating a new memory based on the same insights and lessons, and refreshing those insights and lessons such that they increase the likelihood of influence. And then you're also creating this project that has you going back to transcribe and then expand and correct and even make more accurate and hopefully more impactful those memories. And each time you're doing that, you're increasing the likelihood that you will continue to reference those memories over past memories and replace your referential memories with something that has a more beneficial outcome. So I really feel like the referential memory replacement, as I see it, is the heart of the integration process. Because like I said, it's those referential memories that really influence, if not outright determine, the way that we perceive ourselves and the world around us and our experiences and interactions, and then how we interpret them and integrate them into our story. And ultimately, that's like how we're changing that trajectory that we talked about in our last episode, that will ultimately bring us to a different place in our lives because of the nature of when you're moving forward on a different trajectory. And at the core of that, though, is still that curiosity, that desire to learn, that desire to assess what are these changes, what can I see, what can I notice, what can I observe, what can my attention bring me to, that recognizes that change and trajectory. A big part of this is also creativity. This is not just a process of working with your mental memories. Those are primarily what you're recording, but you also want to tap into your heart space and your gut space, your emotions and your physical sensations, and the memories that are stored in the neuronal network of those organs or our centers of intelligence. We do have our brain that does control, or at least center our intelligence of our mental body, but our hearts do the same thing in centering the intelligence of our emotional bodies, and our guts do the same thing in centering the intelligence of our physical bodies. And so we want to be accessing those memories as well. And for that, I recommend having some type of creative nonverbal expression. Music is a great way to do it. I mean, singing does have a verbal component, but really it's about tapping into the notes and the expression and the vocalization. Maybe you learned a healing song if you're on an ayahuasca retreat, so something like that, but you could learn one or just learn a song that has a connection for you, has a message for you, and has a feeling for you. So music is an obvious option. Could be drawing, could be painting, could be sculpture, could be photography, something though that you're tapping into a more of the emotional memory that ties to those insights and lessons and self-reflections about positive changes in how you see yourself and the story that you tell. So you want to incorporate some type of artistic endeavor into this project for referential memory replacement, and then also to have a physical sensation memory, which could be done through breath work, some types of somatic experiencing therapies, or just simply dancing. If music is the option that you're choosing, then dancing would go hand in hand with it. It could also be walking in nature, something where we're touching the earth or experiencing things with the sensations of our physical body that also connect us to those referential memories that allow us to reinforce the changes that we want to have in our lives, and then deepening our integrative processes. So you really want to be using your records from your journal, enhancing the consciousness and the mind aspects of your memories, then finding a expressive outlet on a creative artistic endeavor in that type of project to tap in and connect to a new set of referential memories in your heart space or your emotional body. And then also to have types of somatic practices like breath work or meditation or yoga or qigong or tai chi, or just simply walking in nature, something of that nature, of that kind of exercise, or dancing. So maybe in the simplest sense, we're going to expand on the story of our memories from the experience. We're going to expand on the emotions of our memories in that experience, and we're going to expand on the sensations of our memories in that experience of the healing that we achieved in our participation phase of the process. And those are great approaches. Again, the mental, emotional, and physical, or the sensations, emotions, and thoughts all need to be addressed to really solidify and develop the integration as you move forward. In the next episode, we'll take it a little bit further and delve into the last pieces of that before we wrap this up in the integration phase of this series. And then the final episode, we'll just tie all the pieces together and hopefully collect it all in a concise way for you to move forward with. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode as well. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to comment. Reach out to me. Let me know how things are going or what your ideas are, or maybe you have some suggestions for me or something that might help my understanding. So I'm really open to hear from you. I wish you a wonderful day. And of course, if you want more information, check out our website, ayahuascafoundation.org. You can use the contact us form on that website to send a message directly to me. Okay, thanks so much and have a great day.